Hey guys, Alex with Infotainment here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to add a trailer hitch to your Jeep Wrangler Sport. This will allow you to tow a boat, to put bike racks on, to do all sorts of different stuff with your recreational equipment, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So when we get up under the Jeep, there's actually going to be 4 pre-drilled holes for our hitch. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, so 4 bolts go through. The 2 center ones have welded on nuts, which is awesome that they do that, and then the outer 2 here have their own nuts. So we're going to go ahead and get up under the Jeep and put this on and tighten it up. So to get started, we're going to these 4 holes right here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we've actually installed blind spot monitoring on our Jeep, so we have this harness here. You may not have that on your Jeep, but if you install our blind spot monitoring kit, this is how it goes here. So we'll go ahead and feed this up and around. 1 bolt from the back. It's best you do the middle 2 first. Just get that hand tight there. Second one is in. Once we get those snug, we're going to go ahead and feed the other 2 here. And why Jeep didn't put 4 welded nuts on, I do not know. Last one goes through. And these are all pressure lock nuts, so once you get to a certain point, you will need a second wrench. So we'll go ahead and finish tightening the middle 2 all the way up. These are super important that you torque these to 90 meters. So we've got our torque wrench set to 90 Newton meters or 66 foot-pounds. Middle 2 first. If you don't have a torque wrench for this, I'd say get one. Nice and tight, because if you're towing a boat, you don't want this hitch falling off. So now we've got our 4 bolts, but if you plan on towing anything with lights or brakes, we're going to show you how to wire up the trailer lighting and the brake controller. So to get started on our trailer brake wiring, we're always going to want to disconnect the negative battery terminal. So that's under the hood on the right-hand side. Go ahead, loosen that 10 mil bolt up, take the negative battery off. Make sure you tuck this back away so it doesn't flip up and touch the terminal. We're going to go back to the taillights and get started on the wiring. So to get started with our wiring, we're going to go ahead and take our passenger side taillight out. The way to do that is remove this black cover here. Get it with a ratchet. Once we've removed the Torx 40 screw inside, we're going to go ahead and pull our taillight out. Go ahead and disconnect our taillight. So the kit comes with a double-sided sticky pad to go on the back of the module here. Sticky tape right on the back here. And this will actually sit in the brake light well here, and I'll show you where to put that. So on the inside of the taillight housing right here, there's this wide open panel right here, and that's where we're actually going to be putting our unit in here. Plug in the harness first, and then put it in. It makes it a little easier than trying to go from the bottom. So I'm going to clean off that area right here with an alcohol swab, just so it gets nice and clean for getting sticky, because this can get a little dirty. These 3 plugs are the only thing that sit in this brake light well right here. So this goes to the front, and this goes to the bumper here. We're going to feed the remainder of the wire through this hole, and part of it's going to go that way after it gets through the hole, and the rest of it is going to go up over the wheel well and to the front of the vehicle. This is A8 and A9. This actually goes all the way up to the front, so we're going to feed that through here, and this will actually feed straight down here. So we're going to go ahead and continue to pull this through here, these 2 here, and send them down the same hole. However, they're going to go towards the other direction to the bumper. And go ahead and pull the other side through, and those will all come out into the fender well there, and then we'll send the other side directly over to the bumper. So we're going to go ahead and mount this here, slide this in, go down that way. Let's roll this up here. And then at this point, we can go ahead and take our strip off. The one thing that we need to be careful of is we don't want to mount this too high here. We want to clear the door bar here, right here. So we want to make sure it gets mounted low enough, but not too low, so we don't put too much pressure on this right here. So this is clipped in, and we also do want to be able to remove this for service later. So high enough to where we're not putting pressure on this, low enough to clear this door bar. Go ahead and take this off here. We can get this out if we need to, and we're not too high for here. So the next step, we're going to bring these lights back down directly into, this is the light, this is the plug where the light came out of. So one side is going to clip right in here. They can only go in one way, so clip that in there. Go ahead and set that down. So this remaining plug is actually where the tail lamp will plug into what you pulled out. Snaps in, little red clip, go ahead and press down. And then while we're in here, we just want to make sure that this stays clear of this door bar right here. It's not going to hurt anything, it's plastic, but we just want to make sure nothing gets pinched. And then that T40, that plastic T40 that we took out earlier, just put it back in finger tight in case we need to take it out again. So now the tail lamp is plugged back up, and we're going to go ahead and reroute the rest of our wiring. So we have 2 more wires remaining. So basically this is going to go to our 7-pin harness that gets installed right behind the trailer hitch, and this is going to go to the other tail lamp here. So we're going to feed this, if you see kind of where this wire is coming from here, we're going to feed this that direction and down towards the hitch to the other side and pull it straight through. Again, the other side of the harness, this long one here, that's going to be going towards the front of the vehicle, and I'll show you guys that next. Before we route this, we're going to go ahead and put our receiver bracket on here, and take 2 15mm bolts here, put up in here. Go ahead and tighten those down. So essentially this is where our receiver harness comes to, and this will follow the frame rail along and be plugged in here. So next we're going to wire this little pigtail up to our other brake light up here, and I'll show you how to wire that. So now we're going to go ahead and take the driver's side brake light out so we can run the pins in there. We're going to wiggle that loose. Go ahead and undo this here. And now you can see the opening that we're going to pull the pigtail through. So we'll go ahead and reach up under the truck and pull it straight through. So from the bumper here, we're going to go ahead and raise it over the frame and pull it through, and then we're going to put it straight up that way here. So on this plug here, we need to remove this core, and I did that by taking a pick tool and just prying these 2 tabs up right here, so that comes out. So we'll take our female end of the plug, side 1 here, and this will actually slide in through. Now you can see we have our last plug there. Go ahead and pull these back and place our core here until it snaps in. We'll go ahead and do the same side on the male end. So to get this wire in the male side, we're going to have to pry the inner core out a little bit. Don't pull too hard, we don't want to break it. So we're going to pry this out just enough, push this in, and then lock this back into place, just like that. So now you have all your pins showing here and your yellow wires in there. So now we'll take this end here, the female end, and this is where our tail lamp came from originally. We're going to go ahead and snap this into place here. On. Push that back in. And now we can take our tail lamp to the open plug, snap this back in, press your red plug. We'll go ahead and feed this back through and reconnect the tail lamp here. We'll make sure this is nice and tucked out of the way down here so we don't pinch any wires. Take your T40 again. You can get this started up top here by hand. So now the tail lamp is in, and we're going to move down to the bumper to secure the wiring harness and put our 7-pin connector in. So now we're just gonna go ahead and start securing the wiring harness. So we'll take our supplied zip ties with the clips here. And there's little holes in the bumper. Take this here, see right in here. Now we're gonna wire up this plug here on the back of the bracket. And we will secure this as well here. So now we're gonna wire up our 7-pin harness right here. So we're gonna go ahead and wire this up per the instructions. There's 7 cavities right here, and these will slide in. Go ahead and look at the instructions where the colors go in the wiring harness. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So once we've got everything wired up, we're gonna go ahead and feed our retainer clip through here. And plug that in. And so the way this works is this feeds directly up and through here, like so. And then go ahead and plug that into our 7-pin there. This gets fed back, and this will all clip in like so. Take the remainder of our wiring and zip tie it directly to the frame. And I'm gonna use some long zip ties. The ones that they give you in the kit are a little bit short, so we're gonna go ahead and use longer ones. One thing we wanna take note of is make sure that none of the wiring is touching the muffler here. It does get very close. So make sure all the wires are tucked up and zip tied out of the way of the muffler. So as you can see, we have our wiring ran all the way down up around the frame, zip tied out of the way of the muffler. Just make sure everything is clear here. Nothing's touching the muffler here. So now we can focus on running the rest of the wiring up and over to the front of the engine bay. So now that we have our wiring harness here, we're gonna go ahead and take these push clips out here. Now that we have access to this back here, so we're gonna take our wiring pigtail here, and basically we're gonna follow this along with zip ties. We're gonna come down this direction here and go up the frame rail. I'll go get some zip ties, and we can just zip tie straight to this wiring harness, this existing wiring loom right here. We want to place these about once every, say, 6 inches or so. So I'm going to bring the wiring harness around the body mount there, just so we don't get any sagging. So we have a couple of these little holes here that we can use the Christmas tree style ones there. So just make sure everything's nice and secure as we go up the frame rail. So once we get up to the engine bay, we're gonna be looking for this little tab right here. There's a big plastic piece. We wanna take our plastic pry tool and just pop this kind of over like that. And then we're gonna send you can use a coat hanger for this. I use a long reach tool. So we're gonna go ahead and slide this down, and that's basically going down towards the wheel well. So once we've fed our wires through, we're gonna just go ahead and zip tie them to secure it down below. So we got 3 wires here. This blue wire you can pretty much disregard, that's just capped. That's for another application. We have our black wire, which is gonna be going to ground, which you can use this bolt right here. So we'll take this 10 mil off here, put the ground on here, and tighten it back up. And then we have our power, which is we're gonna route to our fuse box. There's actually an open stud right here, which is what we're gonna use right there. So we'll feed this onto here, this to ground, and we'll complete our installation. Go ahead and loosen our power here. All right, so on our power supply here, we're actually gonna use the middle one. If your truck does not have a loose one like this, you can use any of the other ones, but we're just gonna wanna use whichever top nut that we can pull off here. So we'll take our power wire here, set that on there, tuck our fuse back behind there, and just tighten that up. Don't wanna over tighten that. So we're done in our fuse box here. Just make sure the wires are nice and tucked to the side there. And then we're gonna go ahead and run our ground to this 10mm bolt right here. Again, be careful with this stud. We don't want to lose this nut here. Go ahead and come from the bottom so we don't pinch any wires when we close the hood. Make sure all the wires are secure. Nothing's gonna get pinched when we close the hood. Go ahead and press this back in and we're all set. At this point, we can put our negative battery terminal back on. Don't over tighten this either. Make sure all your tools are out of here. We can go ahead and close the hood. All right guys, so we just got done installing our trailer wiring kit for this Jeep Wrangler and our trailer hitch. This allows you to pull all your toys or whatever you guys need to up to about 4,000 or 5,000 pounds on this Jeep Wrangler. Check us out on Infotainment.com where we have a ton of accessories for this Jeep Wrangler and many more. Thanks for watching.